Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Katie. I'm adding up Addingtons, and today I'm answering the question, when you do foster care, do you get any say in the kids that you take in? So stick around. Alright, if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Katie. I'm a mom of 8. We are business owners. We homeschool. We love to travel and adventure together. We are former foster parents and we're an adoptive family, and we just love to share all of it with you. So I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and stick around with us. All right, so today I am talking about when you choose to do foster care and potentially adoption through foster care, do you get any say in the kids that you take in? Now, I've seen this question asked a couple of different ways in different forums recently. Can I only work with such and such an age group? Can I specify that I want a particular gender? Something like that. And the short answer is yes, mostly, kind of. So first, again, I will give the caveat that I am in Tennessee and foster care is a primarily state-run entity. So you are going to want to check with your state's laws against anything I say here. Don't take my word for it, look it up. But this is my experience. So the only way to truly foster only to adopt, if you're not interested in doing foster care where you are working towards reunifying with families, because that's always the goal, is first to reunify wherever possible, and then after that to gain permanency for a child, whether through adoption or being placed with an extended family member or one of those kinds of options. So the only way to truly foster only to adopt is to become licensed for foster care and to take in a child that is already in what's called full guardianship. That means that they are in the full custody of the state and their birth parents or whoever had them before, that all of their parental rights have already been either surrendered or terminated by the courts. So they are fully in the custody of the state. If you are interested in that, you can look up the website adoptuskids.org, and they have profiles of children who are already in full state custody and are awaiting adoptive parents. Now, most of those kids are going to be what we would consider harder to place. Either they're older, or they're an extended sibling group, or they have some special needs that need to be met. Something like that, primarily. Not exclusively, but mostly. Which, if you can take in one of those things, awesome. Go check it out. That website is also what's there is there. Nobody's like taking your profile of your ideal child and like waiting for it to come in. What's on the website is there. And yes, it gets updated, but you're not like flipping through a book of options. These are the kids who need families. But when you truly foster, when you take in a child who needs a place to go, with the intention of seeking reunification first and moving to adoption when that's not possible. If you choose to go through that process, which is what we did with our daughters, then yes, you have a lot of say actually in the kids who come into your home, with a couple of caveats. But for the most part, yes, there are several points along that journey where you have say in that process. And starting off is when you first register or file intent or notify your local agency that you want to become a foster parent. Chances are one of the questions they're going to ask you is, what kind of kids are you interested and or willing to work with? Or if you're using an agency and not just the state agency, they may have a type of kids that they specifically work with. But you'll probably be asked that pretty close to the beginning of the process. Then you're going to be asked again during your home study and or family profile process, they're going to ask you, how many kids are you willing and able to take care of? What age ranges are you licensed for? And then even within that, here in Tennessee, we have a couple of categories. They're actually only 0 to 13 and then 13 and over. And so you get marked on your family profile whether you are the younger category or the older category. And so you will get called for everything in between. Now, when your home study writer writes your family profile, they will include that this family may be best suited for X. Ours said kids roughly 10 and under, like elementary school age and under, because our biological kids were younger at the time. So that was what our profile said. Now you'll probably still get calls for outside that range, but you will get to say that, hey, this particular category is probably going to be the best for us. So you're going to be asked probably towards the beginning of the process, and again when you're completing your home study. Now the next time you have say in this is when the placement department actually calls you about a child. Now I know here in Tennessee, they will call everybody on the list whether that child fits within your preferred profile or not. So I have answered and declined calls for, let's say, a 17-year-old boy at 1 in the morning. I've answered that call and I've told them, hey, I'm sorry, that's not going to be a good fit for us. They're just trying to find a home for that kid, and it's okay if they're not a great fit for you. You can say no. I've done that. We've done that several times, in fact. So every time placement calls you, you can say no. Now I know here, if you say no for like months on end, they may suspend your licensure, because at that point, like, what are you helping with? But with each individual phone call, you can say yes or no. And then the last chance is before adoption proceedings actually begin. Fostering a child does not necessarily obligate you to adopt them. Our Josianah was in foster care for 1.5 years before she even moved into our home, and it was another year before we adopted her. So that happens, and that's okay. If you are a foster parent, that doesn't mean that you have to adopt that child when it gets to that point. At no point in this foster care process is somebody showing up on your doorstep with a random child that you are obligated to bring into your home. So you actually have a lot of control over who's actually coming in. Now, I will say that when placement calls you with a child, chances are pretty high even that placement doesn't know everything about that child, or even that they know very much. I know people who have gotten a John Doe or Jane Doe child where they find a kiddo out, walking in a diaper down the street, and they're too young to know their name, and so the police pick them up and put them in foster care, but they don't actually know who this kid is at all. That happens. Or, again, our Josianah, who was in foster care for 1.5 years, when placement called me, they got some of her details mixed up. They told me that she was 2, and she was actually only like 18 or 19 months old. Which isn't a big deal, but at that age, that's a pretty big developmental difference. So chances are they don't know everything. So they'll tell you as much as they can, and you can ask questions, but they probably don't know everything. Thing that I will say again, I said it before, but just because you take in a child and you are fostering them doesn't obligate you to adopt them. If you get a kid in your home and you find out all kinds of new things that you're like, well, I am just not equipped to deal with this, moving a child around 1,000,000 times is not good for anybody. But if you just truly get a child into your home and you're like, I'm not equipped to deal with the needs that they have, and I want to help find a better situation for them, that's fine. Our Josianah was with another foster family here in town, and they just really truly felt that they were not her forever family, and they weren't trying to get rid of her. They wanted to make sure that, you know, really truly the right family was found for her, but they just felt strongly that they weren't it. And gosh, I'm so thankful for my daughter's time with that family. We've actually become really great friends with them since in the last 4 years. And, you know, I'm so thankful that we have pictures and memories and her baby clothes and all these things from this other family. I'm so thankful, and I'm thankful that she's our daughter. She landed in the right spot, even though we weren't there to begin with. So just because you foster a child doesn't mean that you have to adopt them, and you may be filling the gap for someone who is meant for that child. I'm thankful for all sides of that situation. So, do you get to choose the children that you foster? Yes, mostly, kind of. It's not a perfect situation. Again, I've said before, and I'll say it again. When a child lands in foster care, it's because someone or something fundamentally failed them, and it's a broken system, and it's not ideal. But you are also not at the mercy of someone showing up on your doorstep with a child. You have several points along the way where you can give input. So hopefully that answers the question. Can you choose the children that you foster? Let me know what other questions you have about foster care and adoption, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.